Hi, welcome everybody to the ASIS Expert Series here at SecurityGuideTV.com. My special guest today, Mr. Jim McGuffy. He's a CPP, PCI, PSP. A lot of acronyms there, James. I think that's kind of cool. And today we're going to discuss securing houses of worship, church security. I mean, there's many ways to say it. We're not being nominational in any way here, but boy, after this Texas shooting last week, this is a really big deal. And just this morning, at the time of this recording, we had a shooting in Northern California at an elementary school. So welcome to the show, Jim. A sad subject, but a necessary subject.
Thank you, Chuck. It's my pleasure.
Give us a little bit about your background in street creds. People always like to hear about that stuff.
Well, I served 3 years in the United States Army and then 8 years in law enforcement. And then I joined the armored car industry where I retired as a regional vice president. Actually worked for another company, but retired with Brinks Armored Car. And then about 10 years ago, I started my own consulting practice. And I have clients in South America, Canada, and in the United States. A most interesting piece is for the last 5 years now, going on 6, time flies, I have been working as a security contractor on a vetted list by the Department of State. So I travel to different countries in the Middle East, Africa, Latin America, South America, training national police officers, sometimes military police, how to protect their critical infrastructure from terrorist attack and criminal attacks.
So how did you get into the church side of it? What is this just a natural extension of training other cultures, right? And other cultures include various degrees of religious interaction, depending on the culture. How did the church connection come to you?
Well, I've been living in Bluffton, South Carolina, almost 6 years now, but we moved from Pennsylvania, and there was a church up there that we attended, and they asked me to put together a security program for them, knowing my background, and I did. And then I was asked to train 40 clergy from 40 different churches. It's called the Southeastern Lutheran Synagogue in Southeast Pennsylvania. So I got together on a Saturday morning, did about a 3 or 4 hour workshop, and it was myself and another ASIS member. And anyway, we had a great attendance. We had really positive feedback. And after that, I wanted to figure out how I could continue to stay involved in security for houses of worship and yet continue on with my consulting duties. So what I did, I opened up a website called Church Security Consultant, and it has now about 530,000 views.
Wow.
And I started getting from all over the world. And I've done a lot of training since then through ASIS International. I've served the last 3 years on their House of Worship committee as their chairperson, which is part of the Cultural Properties Council. And we've written a lot of documents on the security risk analysis process, and just a lot of good security documents that are out there. But I think a lot of my experience comes from outside the security field. I've been involved in House of Worship security or administration for about 15 years. I've held positions such as vice president of the church council, security risk manager for a couple of organizations that work with the homeless up in the Detroit area and down here in Bluffton, South Carolina. So